lots of changes coming up, not only on this show, but in TNA wrestling. And I made the news again this week. Um, I don't like being in the news, but sometimes it happens. And I was covered heavily across some of the aggregate sites for stories that I had, and from some of my sourcing, because I get the feeling, I get the feeling that I was not the only one that got reached out to after these firings, and that's okay. Like, some of the unsung heroes in that company, we don't really know a lot about them. And now that they're gone, it's like, hey, look, I think you guys should know some of the incredible work that my peers and I and we were up to, because we don't get to see a lot of that. We don't get to hear a lot of that. And so I was able to break that story. It's not a huge story. Gail Kim is who's getting all the headlines, but I think, the folks in the ad department and marketing department and digital department, I think telling those stories is important too, right? Gail Kim's going to get the headlines, and that's fine. I was happy to break a story about what was going on, like, in the way back, right? In the way back, with the people that you hadn't heard of before, and tell their story and talk about a lot of the hard work that they were doing, but a lot of the accomplishments that they had, especially over the last year, as it relates to how the company grew over the last year. Now, everybody's going to pinpoint to one singular moment as to when the growth started. And I think that's a fair thing to do. The WWE partnership is really where things started to kind of blossom, right? Things just automatically started to get bigger from there. But at the same time, like actually a little bit before April, right? Joe Hendry, he does that concert at the Pearl, right? He's making fun of AJ Francis. That goes viral a little bit. He releases a single. He starts hitting on the pop charts. He doesn't actually go to WWE NXT until like July. He didn't go there. The only reason they wanted him is because he was blowing up, and like the demand was there. The audience wanted to see him there, right? They had Jordan Grace and they had the Rascals, but they all wanted Joe Hendry. So the timing was perfect. So Joe Hendry blows up. And then the Hardys come in. And those three things happen. And then at the same time, they move off of their YouTube Ultimate Insiders. And this is the thing that people are not really paying attention to. So last year, when they moved from Impact Plus to TNA Plus, they moved over to the Endeavor platform, the hosting, the server, whatever those nerds call it. I don't know. I don't know what it's called. That became like a usable platform, a clean, crisp, a nice interface, right? With Impact Plus before, you couldn't get the videos to work a lot of times. The live feature was always broken and messed up, and a lot of times the videos were not getting uploaded, or if they were corrupted. It was just a whole mess, right? So they moved to this new platform. That was a big deal for this company. That was a big deal for me because I had been complaining about that app for years. And in fact, I had quit subscribing to it. I was like, and full disclosure, I was like, look, I'm not going to pay for these things anymore because they're not worth my money. But I'm going to continue doing my podcast. So I'm going to watch it through other means. And so I was doing that for a while. And I didn't buy TNA Plus right away. It took me a while. They had to build my trust up again, and they built the trust, and I've been a happy subscriber ever since. So that was, like a little over a year ago. Well, then last summer, they had the discussion where they moved off of YouTube Ultimate Insiders and pushed everything to the app. And I was critical of that move. I think it's because at the time I wasn't a TNA Plus subscriber, and I was a YouTube Ultimate Insiders subscriber, and that interface I thought was very user friendly. It was working. It worked perfectly for me. But they decided to move it all over into one area, and that was a really smart idea. That was something I was wanting them to do a long time ago. In fact, like 2 years ago, I was like, you guys need to just bulk up this app, move everything onto it. I think that they should. I mean, clearly they're making money off their pay-per-views, but at the time I was like, just all the pay-per-views are on this thing too. Just don't do pay-per-views anymore. Just do what WWE's doing, WWE Network, just copy that, but have your weekly show, Explosion, and all the pay-per-views on here, one-stop shop for everything. And but then they introduced the YouTube thing, and I got used to that, and so that was kind of what I wanted. And so last summer they moved everything to TNA Plus, and that was a home run. That was a home run move. And I was told that they actually had doubled their business on there. I didn't get any statistical data, right? I didn't. I maybe I could have asked, like, oh, really? Well, what was the number before and what's the number now? But I'm like, you know, I didn't ask that question. I guess I probably could have. They probably would have told me to eat shit, but which, it's kind of, none of my business. But they offered up the information. This, it's really important. So that's a home run. That's a big deal. And so I think that app being accessible and user friendly and working, and them doing a great job with that, and their marketing on it and selling advertising on it, that also was a big deal to the company. And then also their live event marketing, they just got so much better. It was so much better than it was the year before. Just the difference between their live event marketing from 2023 to 2024, it's like night and day. It's almost like they're two different companies, right? Specifically starting in the summer, right? You had the Chicago show. I'm blanking on the name, but they had a show in Chicago, where Trinity debuted. That was not Trinity. I'm sorry, where the Hardys returned. Right? They had that one. Then they had the Philly show that I thought they did a great job at, and then of course Montreal Slammiversary, and then it just kept getting better and better from there. And I thought Bound for Glory was a well marketed show. It looked great. Sold a ton of tickets. So they did such a great job improving all of the marketing and selling advertisements. And a big part of that is these people that just got let go. And so I wanted to highlight their accomplishments. One of the people that was noted to me that has done an amazing job was Rob Kligman. He, I heard from two different people that this guy was a rock star. One of the people said that, he was the first person in that position. So they said he's in charge of ad sales, but he's a chief financial officer, revenue officer, I should say, generating revenue. And he was the only one since they've been in the company that's been able to actually generate revenue. Now, he didn't do $1 million in ad sales, which is what I was told, but he was pretty damn close, and nobody else has gotten even remotely close to what he was able to do. All of the sponsorships so before Rob took over that position, the sponsorships they had with movies were Anthem-owned movies. Rob got them sponsorships with movies outside of the umbrella, right? That becomes a real sponsorship. The Vito Cocoa Water, it's like a vitamin water, coconut water, whatever it's called. Blacksmith Apparel, all the different things like that came through Rob and his team, right? The live event stuff. Lou D'Angeli got fired last year, and Romy Glazer, who appears to be like just another rock star, right? A super hardworking person, somebody that got along with everybody, that went above and beyond the Call of Duty to get things done, and brought a lot of outside the box ideas. Let me get to what. So Sapp, and I do want to say thank you to Sean Ross Sapp. He really put me over on several different platforms this week. He and I have not had a chance to talk, but I hope he does hear this and he understands that I'm very thankful. But so Romy Glazer, let me just say this about Romy. So when I first heard that name, I was like, there's no way that's a real name. That name just can't possibly be real. That is way too cool of a name for it to be real. Like no one like how do you get named Romy Glazer? It's like this has got to be like a worker, like a wrestler working in ad sales, or it's like the lead singer of like an all-girl punk rock band. But so I don't know if it's a real name or not, but she's got like quite the resume. I went and checked out her resume. She's been successful everywhere she's gone, and she was successful here, which is all the more puzzling why a lot of these people got let go. But so According to Fightful Select, Glazer was well liked and significantly boosted TNA's marketing metrics. She grew the company's email list nearly 140,000 subscribers and sending out over 13 million promotional emails. And then she stepped up after Lou D'Angeli's exit. That's what I had talked about, taking on digital live event marketing and media duties alongside Ross Foreman. She was instrumental in high-profile partnerships like Vita Coco, Blacksmith. So it was her and the team, right? And the PCO Burger. So, sources praised her for modernizing TNA's marketing, contributing to 7 sold-out TNA Plus events in 2024 and coordinating Joe Hendry's recent collaboration with USC Athletics. So, yeah, so she's done a great job with that. I think something's coming up with Moose, too. She worked on before she left. So, yeah, just a huge contributor there. Like, we don't get to hear about people like that. And so I think that's cool that this information is getting to us. Sucks it happened whenever they left. It would have been nice to get to know these people before they left, but that's just the way it works out sometimes. I already talked about Rob Kligman, but he was vital in landing deals with brands like Topps and Vita Coco and all the different movies. And what I was told, Ross is doing a great job. Got close to $1 million in ad sales in under 12 months. So, you guys, a real deal. Michael Shevchenko, this is another guy that was put over to me by a couple different people. But he was the vice president of digital operations for Anthem's TNA. Anthem TNA's parent company will stay on until April 30th. So he's going to do some turnover with the new person that took over, Clevenger. Shevchenko was a key player in transforming Impact Plus into the more user-friendly TNA Plus. So that's what I talked about earlier. And he spearheaded the shift from on-demand to simulcast streaming, doubling the app's business by making Impact accessible to fans without access TV. In the U.S., multiple sources reached out to praise me. So praise him. Reached out to me to praise him. Sorry, I had my notes messed up. Rafael Morphy's departure is a curious one. TNA had denied that he was working with them for months, reportedly due to a non-compete clause from his prior gig with AEW. Sources credit Morphy, not to me, this is to Sean Ross Sapp, with boosting live event attendance and securing shows in Dallas, El Paso, San Antonio, USC, and even the UBS Arena. One insider speculated to Fightful that slow ticket sales at UBS may have played a role in his firing. Whoever told Sapp that, I think is weird because that show's doing really good. So, like, comparatively speaking to the rest of the shows they've done this year, they're like way ahead. They're like close to like 60% sold right now for a 4,000 like seat house without a single match announced. And they plan on, and Sapp said they're planning on like throwing everything at that show to get them over that mark. I think they're going to be fine there. So I highly doubt that's why he was fired. Mike's opinion, this is not sourced. Mike's opinion is that he was fired because they're just bringing in their own people. I think that's what, like, these backstage people that I'm talking about, like the unknown folks. I don't think this was like a bunch of people that were in trouble, got cross with the boss, and they weren't doing good jobs. Like, we've heard that before with other people. I don't think that's what this is, because I've only been received like praise on these people. And it's not from like a singular person. It's from like multiple people. And Sean Ross Sapp is hearing the same thing. So, and I think BQ is also hearing that. BQ got some stuff about some of the higher ups, and I'm going to talk about them in a little bit, but I wanted to talk about my story first. Sebastian Destrange, he's known to some fans as Sebastian Suave, multi-talented asset. Like I said, the Swiss Army knife with experience as a wrestler, promoter, and marketer. And he ran Smash Wrestling in Canada while reviving TNA's merchandise efforts. So their merchandise department is insane right now. They overhauled it completely. They linked up with a new website. They got a ton of stuff. It actually looks way better. I haven't bought anything from there in a while because upcharges for Hawaii. I'm not buying anything, but if something cool pops up whenever I get back to the mainland, I'll probably get something. But